Has it ever happened to you that the more you overthink something, the more complicated it gets? You think, you talk, you wear yourself out, and nothing changes. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? We live rushing around, always trying to be right, trying to control everything, but what if that's the mistake? What if the peace you're looking for shows up when you do less, say less, and just truly focus? My friend, sometimes real power is knowing when to stop. I know. Today everything pushes you to do more, say more, prove more. But the Stoics knew that's not where calm lives. That's not where your peace is. That's where chaos begins. They were clear on something we've forgotten. The less noise you make on the outside, the more strength you build on the inside. In this video, you're going to discover how to think less, talk less, and focus more to completely change your life. And not in theory, this is practical. I'm going to show you how to stop suffering over what you can't control and how to redirect your energy toward what truly matters. This isn't about being indifferent or giving up. It's about learning to choose your battles just like our wise friends, the Stoics. So tell me, are you ready to completely shift your mindset and your life? Let's go. But first, let me tell you a story that shows the power of thinking less, talking less, and focusing more. It's the story of Marcos. Marcos was the kind of guy who needed to have everything under control. Everything. Every morning, before even leaving the house, he would compulsively check his email just in case something urgent came up at work. If someone took too long to reply to a message, his mind would spiral into 1,000 possible scenarios. Did something happen? Are they upset with me? I have to find out. He couldn't stand not knowing. He couldn't stand not having a ready opinion for every conversation. He felt like if he wasn't in charge, everything would fall apart. He overthought everything. He talked too much. He drained himself trying to fix things that weren't even his responsibility. And at the end of the day, guess what? He ended up frustrated, exhausted, and stuck with that nagging feeling that nothing was ever enough. Until one day, right in the office, he snapped. He got into a pointless argument with his colleague Laura over something silly. She had made a decision without checking in with him. Marcos jumped on it immediately. "Why didn't you ask me first? That could go wrong." And Laura, fed up, shot back with something that stuck with him. "Marcos, not everything revolves around you. You need to learn to let go." That hit him hard. That same day when he got home, he locked himself in the bathroom, looked at himself in the mirror like he was searching for an answer, and whispered to himself, "I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to live like this." That was the shift. It wasn't magical or instant. And it wasn't even about the argument with Laura. He'd had plenty like that before. But this time, something changed inside him. The next day, he decided his old self was done. He started with small steps. He stopped checking his phone every 5 minutes just in case someone needed something. He no longer replied to every message in a rush, trying to have the last word. He gave up trying to control every little piece of his life. He accepted that this obsession was eating him up, and he let it go. And you know what happened? To Marcos's surprise, the world didn't fall apart. No one stopped talking to him. Nothing exploded. In fact, people started smiling at him more, paying more attention to him. They were kinder, and work flowed better than ever. When his partner seemed distant, instead of throwing out 1,000 questions and jumping to conclusions, he waited, he observed, and he simply stayed present. When something didn't go according to plan, he no longer reacted with panic. He breathed, asked questions, and chose which battles were truly worth fighting. And then it became crystal clear. The control he had always chased on the outside, he could only build it from within. Think less, talk less, focus more. That's where his peace was. That's where his strength was. And exactly that is what the Stoics knew centuries ago. They were masters at ignoring the noise, staying silent when there was nothing worth saying, and channeling all their energy into what they could actually control. Today, we're going to learn from them, because the lessons you're about to hear didn't just change Marcos's story. They can change yours too. Before we go on, if this content is helping you see things more clearly, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member to access unique benefits. And tell us in the comments, what part of your life are you going to start rebuilding in silence with focus just for you? Or simply write, "I'm a Stoic. Today I begin to master my mind and my life." That will be your commitment, your silent declaration that, from today on, your actions will speak louder than your words. Because just like Marcos did, you too can reclaim your power from within. 1. Not everything deserves a response. One of the biggest drains on our energy every day is the need to respond to everything. A poorly worded comment, a sarcastic remark, a criticism disguised as advice. And there we go, mentally raising our fists, ready to defend ourselves, explain, justify, strike back. But you know what we often fail to see in that moment? That reacting to everything means living under someone else's control. It means giving up your power. We're caught in this invisible urgency to respond, as if every word thrown our way demands a reply, as if silence were a sign of weakness. But it's not. You don't need to answer everything. In fact, silence is often the greatest act of power you can show. True weakness lies in the automatic reaction, in blind impulse, in letting every external trigger decide how you feel and how you act. Epictetus understood this with brutal clarity. If someone speaks ill of you and it's true, correct yourself. If it's false, laugh. That sentence holds incredible freedom. It reminds us that we're not responsible for what others say. We're responsible for how we choose to live it. Do you realize what that means? That you can stop fighting, that you can let go. You can save your energy, you can breathe and choose not to respond. In a world that demands opinions, reactions, explanations, staying silent becomes a revolutionary act. It's not indifference, it's focus. It's not passivity, it's strength held back. It's not cowardice, it's mastery. And here's something important. Stop walking into battles you never chose. Not everything that bothers you deserves your attention. Not everything that stings deserves your energy. Not everything you hear needs a response. Sometimes, silence is how you set boundaries, how you protect your peace, how you care for what you're building. As Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and author of Man's Search for Meaning, once wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response, and in our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space is pure gold. The problem is we keep filling it with noise, with impulses, with reactions we didn't choose. And every time we do, we lose strength, we lose focus. But when you start staying quiet, observing, letting things pass, something happens. Your mind settles, your body relaxes, and most importantly, your energy comes back to you. That's when you start thinking less, because you're no longer caught in useless mental spirals. That's when you talk less because you've stopped talking just to talk. And that's when you focus more, because you only give your time to what truly matters. Want to make this shift real? Do something simple. Next time someone says something that makes you uncomfortable, breathe before you respond. Don't even think about answering right away. Just breathe. That tiny space is where your power begins. Then, when you feel the urge to explain yourself or justify what you did, ask, do I really need to say something, or am I just protecting my ego? If it's the second, stay silent. It won't take you anywhere. And finally, start practicing the art of letting things go. Not everything that hurts needs to be fixed. Not everything that bothers you matters. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is just let it pass. Just like that. Let it go. Let it float in the air. No response, no reaction, no shape. Because not everything deserves a response, but you deserve peace, a clear mind, focused energy. And all of that begins when you learn to be quiet, when you stop stepping into someone else's battles and start building from within. That's how you think less, talk less, and live way more focused on what really matters. 2. Your energy is not infinite. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You start the day as if your energy were limitless. You reply to every message, answer every call, scroll through every social media post, keep up a dozen conversations, explain yourself, absorb other people's emotions. and still expect yourself to perform at your best. But the truth is, you can't handle it all. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. Your energy is limited. It's not a bottomless well. And if you keep giving it away to everything and everyone, you'll run out of it right when you need it most. Picture this. Every morning you wake up with a glass full of water. That water is your attention, your mental strength, your presence. Throughout the day, you spill it in small amounts. Every time you overthink, drip. Every time you argue out of pride, another drip. Every time you try to solve what isn't yours to fix, you spill a little more. And on it goes, until suddenly, the glass is empty. And the worst part? You don't realize how much you've lost until there's nothing left. And when that crucial moment finally arrives, when you need to be present, think clearly, or just feel at peace, there's nothing left. You're drained. And not because you lack capacity, but because you gave everything to things that didn't deserve it. This isn't just a nice metaphor, it's real. Daniel Kahneman, psychologist and Nobel Prize winner, explained that the brain has a limited capacity for conscious effort. He called it ego depletion. The more you decide, the more you control, the more you react, the faster your mind burns out. The result? You lose patience, you make worse decisions, and your emotional state becomes fragile. It's not that you can't do more. It's that you already gave it all away to things that didn't matter. The Stoics knew this well. They trained their minds not to waste their potential on the useless. They understood that a full life isn't built on constant effort. It's built on direction. It's not that we have too little time, but that we waste so much of it, said Seneca, long before science proved him right. If you spend your entire day thinking about everything and reacting to everything, how do you expect to have energy left for what truly matters? Let me remind you again. You're human, my friend, not a robot with an infinite battery. When you learn to protect your energy, everything begins to shift. Not because you do less, but because you choose better. You talk less because you don't need to prove anything. You think less because you stop getting caught up in every little thing. And you focus more because you stop giving attention to the noise. Misused energy turns into anxiety, but when directed wisely, it becomes raw power. Start today. When someone texts you expecting an instant reply, remember, your attention is more valuable than their impatience. Answer when it's the right moment for you, not when it's demanded from the outside. When you catch yourself in a mental loop trying to solve something with no clear solution, let it go. Not everything can be fixed right now. Some things need time, not obsession. And when someone brings their drama to you and you feel the urge to carry it, ask yourself, is this really mine to hold? You can listen without absorbing. You can be present without emptying yourself. Or you can simply say, I'm sorry. Can we talk about this later? Is that okay? Your energy is not infinite, but if you stop wasting it, you'll start to have more than enough. And with what remains, you can build clarity, presence, and a far more focused life. Just like the Stoics did. No waste, no distraction, with intention. 3. The mind lies. Don't believe everything it says. Remember that day when you were waiting for that message, that call, that sign that everything was fine. But it didn't come, and that's when your mind kicked in. They must be mad at me. They're ignoring me. I messed it up again. I always ruin everything. And the strange thing is, you didn't just think it, you felt it. The anxiety kicked in. Your heart started racing. Your mind created the scene, and your body lived it as if it were real. Hours later, the message arrived. Everything was normal, and you had gone through a storm created by you. That's the trap. Your mind doesn't always tell the truth. In fact, many times it lies. It lies because it's not built to make you happy. It's built to keep you safe. And sometimes to protect you, it invents threats, rejections, dramas, things that don't exist, things that live only in your head. Psychologist and author Ethan Kross explains how negative self-talk, that constant mental whisper, can become your worst enemy if you don't know how to handle it. Kross teaches us how even a small unresolved worry can trigger a chain of irrational thoughts that affect your health, your decision-making, and your overall well-being. You see the point, right? The problem isn't that you think. The problem is that you don't filter what you think. And in that, the Stoics were masters. Epictetus put it simply, "It's not what happens to us that upsets us, but what we think about what happens. It's not reality that breaks you. It's the automatic story you tell yourself about it. That internal narrative you never question, and that ends up guiding your actions, emotions, and relationships. If you don't learn to separate your thoughts from the facts, you'll end up living as if everything your mind says is absolute truth, and it's not. That's why thinking less doesn't mean thinking worse. It means stopping the kind of thinking that leads nowhere. Talking less also becomes a sign of wisdom. How many times have you said something you later regretted, just because your mind made up an imaginary urgency? What you need isn't a louder mind, it's a clearer mind. And yes, that can be trained. When a negative thought shows up, a judgment or a doubt, don't accept it as truth. Watch it. Pause. Ask yourself, is this real? Or is it just noise? Does this build me up or tear me down? Am I really living this or just imagining it? Don't react on impulse. Don't blindly obey. Right there, in that moment of pause, that's where your freedom begins. That's when you truly give yourself the chance to focus your mind instead of being ruled by it. If you stop and ask, did they really not reply because they're mad? Or could it just be they're busy? Your whole perspective shifts. There's no drama, just logic, just calm. Because Stoics weren't cold or indifferent, they were wise. They knew that if they wanted peace, they had to master their minds first. And you can do the same. Next time your mind tells you that something's wrong, that you're not enough, that everything's falling apart, don't chase the thought. Stay still, breathe, and firmly say, I'm not always going to believe you. Because starting today, you choose what to think, what to say, and what to focus on. 4. You don't need to be right all the time. Do you really want to be right, or do you want to be at peace? I know it's an uncomfortable question, because we all like having the last word, winning an argument, proving we knew better, showing the other person was wrong. But what we almost never see is the invisible cost of that obsession. Tense relationships, conversations that turn into battles, time wasted, and a mind stuck defending something that leads nowhere. There's a lesser-known story about Marcus Aurelius. As Emperor of Rome, he had absolute power. But once during a Senate meeting, one of his advisors interrupted and corrected him in public. Everyone braced for a reaction, a tense silence, or worse. But Marcus Aurelius didn't flinch. He simply said, "You're right, and if I had known that earlier, I wouldn't have said otherwise," and just kept going, as if nothing had happened. No pride, no need to be above anyone. Incredible, right? That's real wisdom. That's humility. Now imagine responding like that today, in the middle of an argument with your partner, in a work meeting, at a family dinner. Picture yourself in a heated debate, where your partner won't back down, and deep down you know nothing will come of it. You even suspect you might be wrong, but your mind tells you it's too late to back down now. It would feel like losing face, like falling below them, right? But think of Marcus Aurelius. He had the power to have anyone executed, and yet he accepted being corrected. In fact, he appreciated it. You know why? Because he understood that peace and calm were worth far more than being right. Being right doesn't give you peace. What gives you peace is knowing you don't have anything to prove. Epictetus put it simply, it is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 arguments. And he was right. Because what's the point of being right if you lose your calm? What's the use in convincing someone if inside you're exhausted, tense, your heart racing, and your mind a mess? The mind begins to calm down when you let go of the need to prove something. Talking less becomes natural when you're no longer trying to convince but to understand. And focusing more becomes possible when you're not wasting energy on winning arguments that change nothing. You don't need to be right. You need direction. Instead of insisting, observe. Instead of endlessly explaining, ask questions. Instead of correcting others, correct your own urge to come out on top. Because when you stop fighting to be right, you become free. You stop reacting. You stop draining yourself. You stop depending on anyone's validation. Next time you're in the middle of a discussion, ask yourself honestly, am I speaking to build something or just to win? And if it's the second, take a step back, breathe, listen. Let go of the need to impose your truth, because more often than not, the one who stays silent doesn't lose. They've just chosen to win in a different way. Marcus Aurelius, with all the power in the world in his hands, knew how to do it. And you, with what you have right now, can do it too. Because you weren't born to be right all the time. You were born to be at peace, to think clearly, and above all, to focus your energy on what truly matters. 5. Learn to respond instead of reacting. Breathe. Don't answer just yet. That's the advice I would have given myself if I could go back to so many moments where, out of impulse, I ruined something important, a relationship, a conversation, an entire day. All because I didn't know how to pause. Because I acted from the fire, not from clarity. Yes, my friend, I'll admit it, for years I reacted to everything. If someone said something I didn't like, I snapped. If things didn't go my way, I blew up. I said the first thing that came to mind and then spent hours, sometimes days, regretting it. My intentions were good, but I was living like a scared animal, in survival mode. Until one day I came across this quote from Seneca, "The greatest freedom is self-mastery." Boom. It was like someone held a mirror up to my face. Free? I wasn't free at all. I was chained to every stimulus, every word, every emotion. That's when I started to understand what the Stoics were teaching. That between what happens and what you do, and there's a space. And in that space, you can either destroy yourself or rebuild. You can hurt or heal. You can sink or rise. Let me repeat that, because it's simple but transformative. Don't react. Respond. That's the difference between being dragged through life and living with intention. Reacting is like giving anyone access to the switch that controls your emotions. Someone says something, click anger, someone ignores you, bam, sadness. You react without a filter, without a pause, without awareness. Responding is something else. It's having the control. It's hearing something and giving yourself half a second more. Just that. Half a second. And in that tiny space, everything fits. Your peace, your intelligence, your perspective. Imagine you're an archer. Reacting is shooting the arrow the second you grab the bow. No aim. Responding is taking a breath, lining up the shot, steadying your hand, and releasing when it's time. The difference isn't in the arrow. It's in the control. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly. The best answer to anger is silence. And he didn't say it out of weakness. He said it because he knew the one who controls their reaction controls their destiny. But don't worry. I know this doesn't happen overnight. I struggled too. I remember once I argued with someone I really cared about. I didn't stop to think. I just fired off words I didn't even fully mean. Words that hurt. And the worst part is, I did it because I couldn't hold back the impulse. If I had been more stoic, if I had counted to 3, taken a breath, waited just a moment, everything could have been different. And no, Stoicism isn't magic. It doesn't erase emotions, but it helps you manage them. It teaches you when to speak, when to stay quiet, and how to act. And that changes your life. It changed mine. It didn't make me perfect, but it made me free. Want to start too? Then remember this. Every time you're about to react, pause, breathe, observe, and ask yourself, does this build something, or am I just unloading? If it's the second, don't speak. Yep, that clear, don't. Don't sabotage yourself for 5 seconds of pride. Give yourself the space. Think less, talk less, focus more. And start here. Don't let the impulse make the decisions for you. Now tell me, what was that moment where you reacted and later regretted it? Share it in the comments and make your commitment. Right. From today on, I breathe before I respond. Because you're not here to keep acting from fire. You're here to build from calm. 6. Stop explaining so much, show more. Have you noticed how often you feel the need to explain everything? Why you did what you did, why you said no, why you've been quieter lately, why you chose a different path than the one others expected. It's like the moment you make a decision for yourself, a voice inside you demands that you justify it. That voice pushes you to explain, even when no one's really asking. That doesn't come from outside. It comes from an internal insecurity that makes you feel like you need others' permission to live in alignment with yourself. And here's the strange thing. The more you explain, the further you drift from yourself. The more distracted you get, the more energy you waste. And all of that pulls you away from your focus. It takes you away from what truly matters. You stop moving forward and start justifying why you're not moving the way others expect you to. Modern psychology sees this clearly. In The Gifts of Imperfection, Brené Brown wrote, "Nothing silences a person more than having to constantly justify what they feel. The more you go around in circles explaining your choices, the more doubt you create, in yourself and in others." But the Stoics knew this centuries ago, not as theory but as practice. They didn't write long treatises on how to convince the world. They lived with such coherence that their actions spoke for them. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't waste time trying to explain themselves. They lived in tune with their values, and that was enough. Marcus Aurelius, as emperor, didn't go around justifying every decision to the Senate or the people. His life was his argument. His consistency, his calm, his quiet compassion said more than any speech could. And that's the key. Your strength isn't in what you say, it's in what you do when no one's clapping. Think of it like this. There's a door that squeaks every time you open it. Instead of telling everyone you're going to fix it, you just fix it, without saying a word. And the next day, someone opens it, and it's silent. That's your impact. Not in the noise, but in the quiet action that changes things without asking for attention. Living through action instead of explanation doesn't just save your energy, it gives you back your inner authority. Without even noticing, it clears your mind. You feel more grounded, more steady. You're no longer stuck in what others need to hear. You're present in what you know needs to be done. You don't need to explain every step you take. It's far more powerful to take a step so solid. It doesn't need to be explained. Your presence, your consistency, your way of staying true to yourself, that's what convinces people. Try it. Let your decisions speak before your justification. Act with intention, not with the anxiety of being understood. And when the urge to explain yourself comes up, don't suppress it, but observe it. Ask yourself whether you really need to explain, or if you just want to reassure yourself. Because you don't need to convince anyone. What you do each day, your consistency, your presence, your direction, is more eloquent than any words you could say. As the Stoics used to say, do it. And if it's right, no explanation will be necessary. 7. Do less, but do it better. They sold you the wrong idea. They made you believe that the more you do, the more you're worth. That if you fill your day with tasks, you're productive. That if you're busy, you're moving forward. But the reality, the one that hurts and frees you at the same time, is different. You're not here to do more. You're here to do what matters. Look at your day. Look at your week. How many things are you doing just out of habit? Just to please others? Out of fear of missing something? Out of not knowing how to stop? And the hardest question, how many of those things are actually moving you closer to the life you want to build? Greg McKeown, author of Essentialism, puts it like this: if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. And that's exactly what happens every time you say yes to everything, fill your schedule with commitments, convince yourself that you can handle it all, and end up drained. Doing less isn't laziness. It's not giving up. It's sharpening your aim. It's looking at your actions and asking, does this add, or does it just fill space? The Stoics understood this centuries before productivity became a buzzword. For them, doing a lot wasn't a sign of wisdom. Acting with intention, that was. Marcus Aurelius asked himself every day whether what he was doing was truly necessary. That's the lesson. Don't fill your schedule if your soul remains empty. Seneca, on his part, made it clear that a full life isn't the one that does many things, but the one that does the essential things. Well, in his letters, he insisted that being busy is not the same as being useful. It's not about doing for the sake of doing. It's about choosing what truly makes sense. Fewer actions, but done well. Fewer words, but honest. Fewer decisions, but solid ones. One technique that can help, and that top productivity experts use, is Greg McKeown's 90% rule. Before saying yes to something, ask yourself, is this a 90 out of 100 in importance for me? If it's not, it's out. Because if everything is important, then nothing is. And when you start applying that filter, you'll feel the shift. Your mind clears, your body feels lighter, your focus sharpens. You're no longer everywhere, you're exactly where you need to be. You're no longer doing just to do. You're doing because you know why you're doing it. So stop running around. Stop cramming your days as if that somehow makes you more valuable. Do less, but do it with your full presence, with your full intention, with your full soul. Because one action done with clarity is worth more than 100 done in a rush. When you start living like this, you'll feel it. Less anxiety, less fatigue, less noise, and in its place, more focus, more direction, more impact. You don't need to fill your life. You need to fine-tune it. You don't need speed. You need presence. The greatest act of power is choosing what not to waste even a second on, because sometimes you need to do less to live so much better. 8. Your attention is your most valuable resource. It's not your time. It's not your money. It's not your talent. It's your attention. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. What you focus on grows. What you ignore fades. What you repeat in your mind becomes your reality. And without even realizing it, you become whatever you give your attention to, day after day. Have you ever stopped to think about what you're mentally consuming? Your phone buzzes and you're already deep into it. A pointless conversation pulls you in. A negative thought traps you. One notification and your peace is gone. You don't even notice it, but you're paying with the most valuable thing you have, your focus. Imagine your attention is a flashlight in a dark room. That beam of light can shine on what lifts you up or what tears you down. It can reveal what helps you grow or spotlight what drains you. And every time you point it without thinking, you're lighting up the wrong things and leaving what truly needs clarity in the dark. The crazy part? You don't even notice, because you're used to being scattered, jumping from one thing to another, living with a dozen mental tabs open at once. But distraction is not productivity, it's exhaustion, and you're not here to be drained. You're here to direct. Psychology is clear on this. Focused attention improves your performance, memory, creativity, and even your mood. The problem isn't that you don't have time, it's that you're consuming everything without filtering. And your most valuable resource slips through your fingers day after day. The Stoics understood this better than we think. They didn't use the word attention, but they talked about mastering the mind, not letting the soul be wasted on what doesn't matter. Seneca said it like this: to be everywhere is to be nowhere. And he was right, because if you're constantly showing up for everything that demands you, when are you showing up for yourself? Your attention must be a sacred act. Like every minute of focus is an investment, because it is. If you want to move forward, grow, live with purpose, then protect your focus like you would protect a treasure. Because that's exactly what it is. It's not about escaping the world. It's about learning to choose where in the world you're going to be truly present. Start with something simple. Choose your mental battles. Not every thought that pops into your head deserves a full debate. Not everything happening around you deserves your attention. Not everyone who speaks deserves to be heard. Imagine your attention is a bank account. Every thought is a transfer. So who's getting your balance? Where are you investing your mental wealth? Change the way you manage it. Close the tabs that are leading nowhere. Shut down the cycles that only keep you stuck. and focus on the things that actually have the power to move you, to lift you, to bring you closer to the person you know you can be. Because at the end of the day, it's not that you can't focus, it's that you haven't chosen where. And until you do, you'll keep feeling like life is dragging you around, when what's really missing is you taking the wheel. So today, I'll leave you with one phrase to repeat until it sticks. My attention is mine, and I don't give it away to just anyone. Now tell me, what are you giving your energy to without even realizing it? Share it in the comments, and make this your commitment. Today, I start protecting my attention like I protect what I love, because wherever you place your focus, that's where your life will grow. 9. Stop chasing what doesn't depend on you. How hard is it for you to let go of what you can't control? Think about it. Not what you say, what you do. You're constantly checking if someone changes, if they reply, if they appreciate you, if they notice what you do. You wear yourself out trying to fix things that aren't in your hands. And in the meantime, your mind loses focus, your body tenses up, and your energy drains away. All because you're trying to control what was never yours to begin with. Let me tell you something. A few years ago, someone very close to me lived stuck in this exhausting need for control. Her name was Claudia. She was one of those people who give everything. For others, for work, for her partner. Always attentive, always available, always trying to make sure everything turned out right. But right meant making everyone happy with her. And that never really happened. If someone pulled away, Claudia would analyze every word she'd said. If her work went unnoticed, she'd double her efforts. If a friend became distant, she'd reach out again, trying to fix it. Sounds like a wonderful person, right? She is. But there was one problem. She lived in a state of constant tension, as if her peace depended on something outside of her, something she could never quite grasp. One day, after an argument with a relative, Claudia, as usual, apologized for something that wasn't even her fault. She walked away hurt, tired, and drained. She got in her car, turned everything off, and asked herself, "What am I trying to achieve? Why do I keep chasing what I can't control?" That was the beginning of her shift. It didn't happen overnight, but little by little, Claudia started to let go. She realized she could act with integrity without needing to carry the outcome. She began doing things out of coherence, not expectation. And something amazing happened. When she stopped chasing, she felt free. When she stopped putting others before herself, she could finally rest. When she understood that what wasn't hers to control didn't deserve her energy, everything changed. And slowly, her focus returned to the most important thing, herself. The Stoics saw this as one of their most powerful teachings. Epictetus explained it like this: some things are up to us, and some things are not. If you do the right thing with what's up to you, the rest is not your concern. And once you truly understand that, it changes everything. It pulls you out of the noise, the overthinking, the overdoing. It brings you to a much calmer, more focused place, where you only do what depends on you, and let go of the rest. And believe me, peace comes. It really does. This isn't about giving up. It's about directing your energy toward what you can actually shape. When you stop trying to control everything, to guess what everyone's thinking, to chase down answers, your mind relaxes. And with that calm comes focus, clarity. You stop overthinking. You stop talking out of anxiety. And at last, you start acting with intention. If you want a more focused, lighter, more grounded life, you have to start here. Let go of what doesn't depend on you. Do it now. Stop checking your phone, waiting for a reply. Stop adjusting every word so no one takes offense. Stop justifying every decision like others need to approve it. You're not here to chase what you can't control. You're here to choose where you place your attention, your energy, your time. And that starts today. 10. Speak less, make a bigger impact. You talk too much. You know it, you feel it, you've lived it. You over-explain, you justify the obvious. You interrupt silences that didn't ask for words. And when you're done, you often think, why did I say that? It's not that you don't have valuable things to say. It's that you water them down with noise. And when everything is voice, no one really listens. Because the world doesn't need more words. It needs more direction, more intention. And that almost always comes from those who know how to be silent. Epictetus put it bluntly, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we listen twice as much as we speak. And that's not just ancient wisdom, it's a life strategy. The one who listens more understands more, and the one who understands more needs to say less. Your words aren't infinite, neither is your credibility. Every time you speak just to speak, you lose strength. Every time you give an opinion without knowing, you lose presence. Every time you justify what's already clear, you lose focus. Speaking less doesn't make you cold, it makes you smart. It means knowing that your voice has value, and that's why you don't give it away. It means understanding that every word you speak can be either a powerful shot or just empty noise. The Stoics understood this so deeply that they preferred to stay silent even when they knew they were right. Because they knew. You don't need to prove anything with words if your actions are already speaking for you. Picture a mountain. Silent, massive, still. It doesn't need to announce its presence. That's how you should become. Let your presence speak. Let your calm in the middle of chaos say what others shout without being heard. And this isn't just about dignity or style. It's about focus. Because the more you speak, the more you drift. More explanations mean more mental energy, more distraction. And if there's one thing we're aiming for with this path, it's clarity, strength, purpose. Speaking less doesn't just make you wiser, it makes you more present. When you learn to stay quiet at the right moment, something powerful happens. Your words start to carry weight. And when you finally speak, people actually listen. Not because of volume, but because of value. First, speak only when your words can change something, not just to fill the silence. If what you're going to say doesn't improve the moment, it doesn't need to be said. Silence can be stronger than any sentence. Second, use your actions as your first language. Let your behavior explain what your words don't need to justify. The consistency of your actions will speak with a clarity no verbal defense can match. Third, if you're unsure whether to speak or stay quiet, choose silence. Not because it's always the best response, but because it's the space where you might find it. If you don't know what to say yet, that's a sign you're still processing. Respect that process. Speak less. Make a bigger impact. Because the one who listens to themselves before they speak always leaves a mark. 11. Learn to choose your battles. My friend, like I told you earlier, not everything deserves your response. And if you already know that, then it's time to go further. Because it's not just about staying quiet. It's about choosing. About deciding which situations truly deserve your energy, your focus, your words, and which simply don't. I know it's not easy. The problem is we weren't trained for this. We were taught to react, to prove ourselves, to always defend. But living in fight mode drains your energy and wears you down. Epictetus said it with a clarity that cuts through centuries. Don't be disturbed by what's outside your control. And there lies the root of many of our useless battles. We fight against facts, people, or words we can't change, as if doing so would give us back control. But here's a not-so-secret truth. It only steals your focus from what actually depends on you, from what you can improve. And it also steals your strength and your peace. Picture the most common modern scenario. You're stuck in traffic running late because of course your bed wouldn't let you leave this morning. Someone cuts you off without looking. You hit the brakes and rage rises in your chest. You yell at the steering wheel, flash your lights, curse under your breath. The tension settles into your body, your mood drops, and you arrive at your destination, exhausted, angry, drained. Now imagine that same situation, but you choose differently. You breathe. You say to yourself, this battle isn't worth it. I choose to stay calm. You turn on some music, you keep driving, and you arrive more peaceful, clearer, grounded. Do you see the shift? Nothing on the outside changed, but you did. And that small, powerful choice changes the direction of your whole day. Sun Tzu said it best in The Art of War. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Wow. The greatest military strategist of all time said it himself. The best way to win a battle is not to fight it. And not out of fear, but out of vision, out of internal control. And you can apply that every time the world tries to provoke you. Every time a situation tries to knock you off balance. Because sometimes, the most powerful move is not stepping into the fight. And you know who else understood this perfectly? Of course, the Stoics. They didn't waste their voice, their attention, or their presence on empty arguments. Their energy was far too valuable to throw into the mud. This isn't about running away. It's about knowing where to stand, where to act, where to say, this one is worth it. And if you start doing the same, you'll feel it in every part of your life, in your relationships, your decisions, your mental health. There'll be less burnout, less guilt, less reaction, and more focus, more direction, more strength. So if you think it's worth a try, here's how to start. First, don't react on impulse. Observe before acting. Silence can be a response too. Second, filter. If a battle doesn't bring you closer to who you want to become, don't step in. Third, protect your peace over your pride. Sometimes letting go isn't giving in, it's growing up. But my friend, there's one silent battle many people keep losing. Not with others, not in arguments, but with themselves. A battle not fought with words, but with presence. And when you learn how to win that one, everything else will start falling into place. Stay with me just a little longer, and I'll share a powerful secret for winning that battle. The battle of making time for yourself. 12. Make time for yourself. Be honest. Are you really giving yourself the time you deserve, or are you just leaving yourself the leftovers of the day? I'm not talking about lying down to scroll on your phone or zoning out in front of videos. I'm not talking about distraction. I'm talking about real time. Time with presence. Time to be with yourself, to listen to yourself, to take care of yourself. Are you giving yourself that? Or are you just surviving, rushing through tasks, commitments, and noise? Going for a walk with no destination, writing down what you feel, looking out the window without hurry, giving yourself an hour without a screen, doing something you love without needing to justify it. That is making time for yourself. And not doing it comes with a cost, more than you're willing to admit. Because when you live for everything outside and never turn inward, you drain yourself. And the worst part is, you don't even notice. You just feel more irritable, more tired, more disconnected. But it's not physical exhaustion. It's disconnection from yourself. Look at your days. They start in a rush and end in exhaustion. You do 1,000 things, talk to many people, take care of everything. But what about you? Where are you in the middle of all that? The sad irony is that you only take care of yourself when you break down. You give yourself a break only when you've already hit a wall, as if you needed to collapse just to finally say, I need a moment. Psychology is clear on this. Kristin Neff, a leading voice on self-compassion, puts it bluntly. We can't give to others what we haven't cultivated within ourselves. And if you're not cultivating peace, clarity, silence, or purpose, what do you think you're offering the world? Steve Jobs, who led one of the most demanding companies in the world, protected time for himself as fiercely as he protected his ideas. He said his best decisions came during moments of pause, because focus doesn't show up in the middle of chaos. It's trained in silence. And here's what's essential. You can't live with intention if you never spend time with yourself. It's like trying to drive a car without ever looking at the dashboard. Sure, you'll keep moving until you run out of gas. And when you run out of yourself, you have nothing left to give. Making time for yourself isn't about escaping the world. It's about returning to yourself so you can return to the world with clarity. But how do you start? How do you carve out the time you deserve when the world keeps pulling at you from every direction? A good first step is creating one moment in the day that's just yours. Guilt-free, no excuses. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be real. But be careful. Don't let that time be pure distraction. No social media, no gossip, none of that. Do something that brings you back to the present. Write, walk, breathe, read, simply be. And understand this. Don't wait until you're at your limit to take care of yourself. Care for yourself while you're still okay so you can stay okay. Because in the end, the focus, the calm, the strength you're searching for, they don't show up when you do more. They appear when you finally choose yourself. Living with intention doesn't mean doing everything perfectly. It means choosing with clarity where you put your energy. Each of these principles isn't just an idea, they're tools. And when you apply them, something shifts. You stop living on autopilot and start building a life that's more conscious, more yours. Because you don't need to control everything to feel at peace. You just need to remember this. You choose, always. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "Today, I'll think less, talk less, and take better care of myself." That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist, which you'll see on the screen. It's packed with ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.